I'm 80 years old, and my best friend of 57 years just died. His name was Tom.
We met in 1967 when we were both 23, working construction in a small town outside Detroit. Back then, neither of us had big dreams or grand plan. We just wanted steady work, cold beer on Fridays, and maybe a family someday. Tom was the one who asked if I wanted to grab a drink after our first shift together. I said yes. That one beer turned into 57 years of showing up for each other. We didn't know it then, but that moment in a dingy bar with sawdust on the floor would become the foundation of the most important relationship in my life. We both got married within a year of each other. I married Linda in 68. Tom married Carol in 69. Our wives became friends. Our kids grew up together. Sunday dinners rotated between our houses. Our families went camping every summer at the same lake in northern Michigan. This wasn't just friendship anymore. It was family. It was structure. It was the rhythm of our lives. When you're young and building a life, you don't think about how fragile it all is. You assume the people you love will always be there. You assume your wife will grow old with you. You assume your best friend will be at your kitchen table every weekend until you're both too old to walk. I assumed all of that. I was wrong about some of it. Linda got sick when I was 62, breast cancer. It came back 3 times over 8 years. The third time, it didn't leave. She died on a Tuesday morning in March 2006. I was 70. My kids were grown and gone, scattered across 3 different states, with their own families, their own lives. And suddenly, I was a single dad in a house that felt too big and too quiet. I don't mean single dad in the way people usually think of it. My kids were adults. They didn't need me to pack lunches or help with homework. But I was alone in a way I'd never been before. The person who knew every version of me, who shared every memory, who made the house feel like home, was gone. My kids called every week. They visited on holidays, but they had their own lives, and I didn't want to be a burden. Tom showed up the day after Linda's funeral. He didn't call first. He just knocked on the door at 7 a.m. with a bag of bagels and 2 cups of coffee. He sat at my kitchen table and didn't say much. He didn't tell me it would get easier. He didn't quote Bible verses or talk about heaven. He just sat there, and then he came back the next day. And the day after that, for 6 months, Tom showed up at my house almost every morning. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes he brought breakfast. Sometimes he just sat and read the newspaper while I stared at the wall. He never made me feel like I owed him anything. He never made me feel like a project. He was just there. That's when I learned what friendship really means. It's not about having fun together or sharing hobbies. It's about showing up when someone's world has collapsed and sitting in the rubble with them. When you're a single dad, even an old one with grown kids, what you need most isn't advice. It's someone who doesn't leave. Carol died 4 years after Linda, heart attack. Tom called me at 2 a.m, and I drove to his house in my pajamas. I stayed for 3 days. I didn't leave until his daughter flew in from California. And just like he'd done for me, I started showing up at his door every morning. We were 2 old widowers now, 2 men in our 70s who'd lost the women we thought we'd die next to. We created new rhythms. Breakfast at the same diner every Tuesday and Thursday. The waitress knew our orders. Eggs over easy for me. Pancakes for Tom. Coffee. Black. Refills until we left. We talked about nothing important. The weather, the tigers, how the neighborhood had changed. Sometimes we sat in silence for 20 minutes, just reading the paper. But we were there. That mattered more than words. Our kids didn't really understand. Tom's daughter told him he should join a grief group. My son suggested I try online dating. They meant well, but they didn't get it. When you're in your 70s and everyone you grew up with is dead or moved to Florida, you can't just make new friends. You can't replace 50 years of shared history. You can't find someone else who remembers what you were like when you were 23 and thought you'd live forever. Tom and I became each other's family, not in a dramatic way, just in the daily, ordinary way that matters most. We checked in every morning. If one of us didn't answer the phone by 9, the other one drove over. We went to doctor's appointments together. We helped each other fix things around the house. When my furnace broke in the middle of winter, Tom drove over at midnight with space heaters and stayed until the repairman came the next day. This is what people don't tell you about being a single dad at any age. Your kids grow up and leave. Your spouse might die or leave or simply stop being the person you married. And if you're lucky, really lucky, you have one friend who stays, one person who doesn't have anywhere better to be, one person who remembers who you were before life took so much from you. Tom started forgetting things when he was 76. Little things at first. He'd tell me the same story twice in one conversation. He'd forget where he parked, then bigger things. He called me one night asking if I knew where Carol was. I had to remind him she'd been gone for 3 years. He cried. I cried with him. The doctor said it was dementia. Early stage, but it would get worse. Tom knew what was coming. He told me once, sitting in my living room with a beer in his hand, that the worst part wasn't dying. The worst part was losing himself before he died. He said he was scared he'd forget everything that mattered. He was scared he'd forget me. I kept showing up, even when he didn't always remember my name, even when he sometimes thought I was his brother or his father or someone from 50 years ago. I showed up because that's what we'd promised each other without ever saying the words. I showed up because he would have done the same for me. I showed up because real friendship doesn't need to be remembered to be real. The last 2 years were hard. Tom moved into assisted living. I visited 3 times a week. Sometimes he knew me, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes we sat and watched baseball, and for a few minutes, it felt like the old days. Other times he was agitated and confused, and the nurses had to ask me to leave. I left, but I always came back. He had a stroke on a Monday. The facility called me at 6 a.m. I was the emergency contact, even though his daughter lived 2 hours away. I got to the hospital before the ambulance did. They moved him to ICU. The doctor said he wouldn't wake up. His daughter arrived that evening. We sat on either side of his bed, holding his hands. He died 2 days later. I was there when it happened. His daughter had gone to get coffee. It was just me and Tom, like it had been for 57 years. I held his hand and told him it was okay to go. I told him I'd be fine. I lied. But I think he knew that. I think he always knew. The funeral was small. Tom's daughter gave a nice eulogy. My kids came in from out of state. People said kind things about what a good man Tom was, how he'd lived a full life, how he was in a better place now. They were trying to help, but none of it helped. Because what they didn't understand is that when Tom died, part of my history died too. Tom was the last person alive who remembered me at 23. He remembered me before Linda, before kids, before I became whoever I am now. He remembered the version of me that thought life was simple and that hard work was enough and that nothing truly bad would ever happen. When he died, that version of me died too. There's no one left to confirm it ever existed. The mornings are the hardest. I wake up and for a second, I forget he's gone. I think about calling him to plan breakfast. Then I remember the diner still looks the same, but I don't go anymore. It doesn't make sense to sit in our booth alone. The waitress asked about Tom once. I told her he passed. She said she was sorry. I haven't been back since. My kids mean well. My daughter calls every Sunday. She tells me I should get out more, join a senior center, make new friends. My son suggested I move closer to him, maybe get a place in his neighborhood where there are other retired people. They don't understand that I don't want new friends. I don't want people my age who are looking for someone to play cards with or travel with or fill their empty days with. I had 57 years with someone who knew me, someone who showed up when my wife died and my world ended, someone who didn't need me to explain myself or perform or be anything other than what I was. You don't replace that. You don't start over at 80 and find someone who will invest 57 years in knowing you. That chance is gone. I'm not telling you this story to make you sad. I'm telling you because I'm 80 years old. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we waste so much time. We waste it on being busy. We waste it on being too proud to pick up the phone. We waste it thinking we have forever. When you're young, you think friendship is about fun. You think it's about shared interests or having a good time or people who make you laugh. And sure, that's part of it. But real friendship, the kind that actually matters, is about something deeper. It's about the person who sits with you in the dark. It's about the person who shows up when you're not fun anymore. If you're a single parent, any kind of single parent, listen to me. Your kids are going to grow up. They're going to move away. They're going to build their own lives. And that's good. That's what you raised them to do. But don't make the mistake of thinking they can be everything for you. Don't lean on them so hard they can't breathe. Keep your friends. Invest in the people who've been there. Because someday, maybe when you're 70 or 80 or 90, your friends might be all you have left. And if you have a friend like Tom, someone who's been there for decades, someone who knows your history, don't take them for granted. Don't let months go by without calling. Don't assume you'll have time later. Don't wait until they're dying or dead to realize what they meant to you. I had 57 years with Tom. I'm grateful for every single one. I'm grateful for that first beer in 1967. I'm grateful for Sunday dinners and summer camping trips and Tuesday breakfasts at the diner. I'm grateful that when Linda died, he didn't let me disappear. I'm grateful that I got to sit with him at the end and tell him it was okay to let go. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't give anything for one more morning, one more cup of bad diner coffee, one more stupid argument about whether the Tigers had any chance this year, one more moment of him remembering my name. I'm 80 years old. I'm a single dad with grown kids who have their own lives. And I'm here to tell you that friendship isn't a nice addition to your life. When you get old, when everyone else is gone, your friends might be the only thing left that reminds you who you used to be. They might be the only proof you were ever young. Call your friend. Make the time. Show up. Because someday you'll be sitting in an empty house at 80 and you'll wish you'd spent less time being busy and more time being present. You'll wish you'd understood earlier that the people who stay are the ones who matter most. Tom mattered. He mattered more than almost anyone. And now he's gone, and I'm still here. I don't know how much time I have left, but I know this. I'll spend the rest of it being grateful I had 57 years with someone who never left. That's more than most people get. That's everything.